Hello and welcome back to the channel Held Dominant. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and want to see more. Coming up, Rugby World Cup news. First of all, Tongan superstar gets on board. This man is legacy building in the NRL. And there are a few people that are not on board for the Rugby League World Cup. Yes, we're back to Rugby League World Cup news, as another big name has come out in favour of playing in the World Cup, and that is Tongan ace Jason Taumalolo. He recently spoke during a Zoom conference that he intends to play in the 2021 World Cup in England despite the withdrawing of New Zealand and Australia, and he expects his teammates to follow suit. Speaking via Zoom at a North Queensland Cowboys press conference in Townsville on Tuesday, Taumalolo echoed the words of Tongan coach Christian Wolff, the St Helens boss, who insisted at the time of the tournament, when it hung in the balance, that the players were still committed to it. He said, "It's obviously a tough one. It's obviously a tough one given the circumstances that happen around it and the situation that different countries have been put in." Take two. It's obvious a tough... Take three. It's obviously a tough one given the circumstances that happened around it and the situation that different countries have been put in. He said, "I myself am still going over to play in the World Cup. It's obviously disappointing to have Australia and New Zealand pull out, but two countries pulling out doesn't really hamper what the game is all about. It's about international footy and getting other countries and nations ready to play each other. Obviously I can't change anything. I've just got to roll with it, I guess." Like I said, he's not the only man to come out mentioning that he's going to go to the World Cup, but he's the one that's adamant that he's going to play for Samoa in the World Cup. It continues with Taumalolo, who won 10 caps for New Zealand in 2014 to 2016, kickstarted a Pacific revolution by switching his allegiances to Tonga in the first time for the last World Cup, prompting stars like David Fafita and Taumalolo to follow suit. The defection helped Tonga beat the Kiwis in the group stages and push England all the way to a tense semi-final in Auckland. Tonga consolidated a top 4 place in the rankings with subsequent wins over Australia and Great Britain in 2019 in the absence of both the Kangaroos and Kiwis this autumn. Will be amongst the favourites to win the World Cup. But with several high-profile Australians and New Zealanders hinting to switch their allegiances, Taumalolo believes other nations will be capable of springing a surprise. "It will be very competitive," he said. "I'm not sure what the players from Australia and New Zealand are going to do, with the guys having heritage aligned to other nations. We'll see if they return to play for their heritage, but it would make for a pretty interesting international set of fixtures, to be honest. I really think you could see something special, and we could see a few upsets too." Now I'm going to say this straight off the cuff, not off the bat. It's my thought that's been going through since I read this statement. Taumalolo is the biggest hype man for international rugby league out there. He should be given an infinite amount of money so he can promote rugby league, because he'll get rugby league kicking, because he's saying the right things. Think about it. The heritage players playing for other teams will make them competitive as well, and you'll see a lot closer games. Yes, there might be a couple of blowouts with a couple of the smaller teams, but wow, he's putting a great spin on everything. I like it. I really do. Yes, I might be swayed to my biases for the Rugby League World Cup, but Taumalolo has come out and said them heritage players playing for another side will make them sides better. Why not have it? They played from before. Who cares? Get the World Cup stronger. So the decision of the RLWC and New Zealand Rugby League to pull out their teams out is thought to be the result of pressure from NRL Clubs, but it's not expected to affect the Australian-based England players. One of them, Tom Burgess, demonstrated his commitment for the tournament after putting his wedding plans on hold. Not to the chagrin of his wife, I would suspect, but of this, Taumalolo had his own comments about Tom Burgess. You see how proud Tommy is to represent England. The end of year tournament will be a great example of guys who actually do want to represent their country. I'm part of it, and I'm sure my teammates are part of it too. I guess it's a different feeling when you pull on your international jersey and get to play for people that you represent. Hopefully, I get to do that again at the end of the year. I know, he said hopefully there, and there is always a proviso that money talks and the S word walks. But I'm hoping for players like Taumalolo to come over here because they're all showing that they want to play for their country. They want to win things. They want to do it for their country. Imagine if Tonga won the Rugby League World Cup. It would be massive for their nations. No matter what Australia and New Zealand do, let's put it in a proper way. If Australia and New Zealand still don't come to the Rugby World Cup, and Tonga win it, and after they win it, Australia and New Zealand poo-poo the win because they weren't there, they can just look and say, no, you were too scared to come there. We were the warriors to get there. And win. What did you do? You stayed home in your bubble. I'm not kidding now. I have more respect for players coming out and saying, we win. We win. We want to play. We want to win. We want to play for Australia. We don't want to play. We want to play for New Zealand. We want to play for Italy. We want to play for Tonga. I'll shake their hands. COVID safe, though. Arm bump or fist bump, whatever. Great guys. They want to play rugby league for who they represent. Maybe that national honour has gone out to New Zealand and Australia. That'll be a bit tongue-in-cheek, but you never know. It might be all about the NRL books. So, if in the Melbourne Storm, you're the most dominant side in the NRL at recent years, and you're looking for some good news to perk up your end of season, I'm sure that your coach signing until 2026 is a good fillet to start for your morning. So Craig Bellamy has signed a new deal that will see him stay at the club till at least 2026. The 62-year-old Australian took over the senior coaching role with Melbourne in 2013 and since seen the Storm reach the final 17 times, winning the grand final on 5 occasions, minor premiers 7 seasons, and has the best win-loss record of any coach in the NRL. Bellamy has also been awarded Dally M Coach of the Year 5 times, Rugby League International Federation Coach on 2 occasions, and has coached almost 500 NRL matches. So speaking of this timely signature, Bellamy said, there have been a lot of moving parts on and off the footy field, but it's good to have the finality on my decision. I will be the head coach next year and I'll sit down with the club at the end of each year and talk about what role I might play. At some time during the period, I will take on a different role in coaching and the commercial area. This is my 19th year, and there have been some wonderful times over that period. Having the comfort in the surroundings and knowing the club works certainly helps make my decision. I've really enjoyed with this group of players and staff. It's typical Storm group in that they work hard and have great care in what they do and great care for the club. We obviously feel that we have obvious feelings for our fans in Melbourne who love their footy and love coming to watch us play, which they haven't been able to do for the last 2 years. Hopefully we can get home in the back part of this year. So with that statement, it's not just coaching that he's looking to do, as he's become the longest serving NRL coach at a single club during his time at Melbourne, by the time his contract runs out, that is. But what a fantastic offer he's got, as he'll be involved in more of the day-to-day running of the actual club as well as being a coach. He will be the Grand Supremo, more or less, of the entire Melbourne Storm brand, and everything that goes through that brand will be a certain way so that the success can be rolled on. Yes, he might have to adapt certain things, but that's how rugby goes. Another team always comes from nowhere. But we'll have to see how that stands. But again, he's there until 2026 at least. So the prospects of the 2021 Rugby League World Cup going ahead in the autumn have receded further, with the 16 NRL clubs, not the players, coaching staff, the CEOs, throwing their weight behind the decision for Australia and New Zealand to pull out. The World Cup Chief Executive John Dutton admitted at a news conference on Thursday that the chances the tournament are going ahead as planned were 50-50, but hoped to win over players by speaking directly to them in attempts to allay any fears. The two big nations cited safety concerns amid the coronavirus pandemic as a reason for their withdrawal, but it is widely felt that NRL clubs were behind the decision, as they feared being without their top players for the majority of pre-season ahead of the 2022 season. The ARL Commission and New Zealand Rugby League were branded cowardly and selfish by Rugby League chairman Simon Johnson, but the NRL clubs have effectively blocked any possible about turn. Worse still, unless the players agree to defy their employers, the knock-on effects could affect the participation of the Southern Hemisphere nations who make up half of the 16 teams. So in the statement it says, the 16 clubs are united that it is in its best interest of the players' health, safety, well-being and the international game for the Rugby World Cup not to proceed in 2021. The support not to play is based on the high COVID-19 infection rates in the United Kingdom and the erroneous biosecurity and quarantine protocols that would be placed on all players having just completed a lengthy period away from home during the NRL Telstra Premiership. The 16 clubs support the World Cup being delayed until 2022, where it's expected to be less risky to player health and safety and a stronger competition. I'm going to comment like Jordan. That's a cop-out. They have decided to put money on their own clubs ahead of the international game. It's a cop-out. But I'll continue with the story and see what your thoughts are. To follow on with that, South Sydney's Chief Executive Blake Solly, a former General Manager of Super League, said a 2022 World Cup will provide a better platform for players and fans. We all support our players reaching the pinnacle of representative football, be it All-Star, state or country, Solly said. We're proud of our players representing their nation. We continue to meet our obligations to players when they are on representative duty, but we also need to be sure they will remain healthy when they do. The NRL and its clubs have gone to great lengths and invested heavily to ensure our players remain healthy and the competition continues. This rate of infection is far too high for us to be confident the players will not contract COVID-19 during the World Cup in the UK. Every club and player has experienced great disruption and challenge over the last 2 seasons, and with the players and their families away from home on living under strict protocols for the most of that period. To spend another lengthy period away from home under extremely strict protocols in a nation with high infection rates and followed by quarantine upon their return to Australia is not a fair risk on clubs or players. These are just my initial thoughts on this. I think this is all just covering their own backs just in case they are the ones responsible and their COVID protocols haven't gone far enough. Or, like they said, they're going to miss players for their pre-season, which affects their bottom line as their players will not be ready for the beginning of the season. But we're not taking this into discretion either. The players have their own discretion whether to take their 8-week period after the season to have time off. It's their discretion. It's a gentleman's agreement, it's not written in anywhere. Or if it is, they don't usually take it. The Rugby League World Cup ended in Australia in December in 2017, whereas this one ends in November. So a complete month difference, maybe a couple of weeks. Oh, wait a second. 2 weeks COVID protocols, then the 8 weeks. What are they going to do? Extend their pre-season longer again? I'm sorry. I just don't buy anything that the NRL is saying. They're under strict COVID protocols where they have to make sure their players gaffer tape their doors up. I'm all for being safe and stopping people contracting COVID. But if you're on a balcony above someone or below someone, and it's a balcony that goes into the sky, usually it means fresh air is always ventilated. Yes, we have our problems with COVID, I must admit that. And we've been run by an idiot during this entire period. But I don't get the apprehension. They have rules in Australia, which are the same rules for COVID protocols for people travelling abroad. The reason why the New Zealand Warriors have been in Australia staying there is because they have a 14-day quarantine period as well. So they don't want to wait 14 days before that. It makes no sense. I'm all for safety. I know how deadly this virus is. But if you're double jabbed, it negates the risk quite a lot. Maybe you should stop having COVID barbecues and parties and get on with playing the game. So that's it for another video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember, like, subscribe and share this video worldwide. We need you worldwide. I want to thank everyone who subscribed so far and thank everyone for watching the video. And please continue with the comments. I love them. Your comments are brilliant, whether they're for the ideas that I'm giving out or ideas against. Brilliant. I like the conversation. So, in the meantime, stay safe, all the best, and I'll see you in the next video.